Thank you guys for all of your support on our recent videos. It means so much to us.
We've been unable to put out some long form videos because I have an iPhone 7 and Fetty has an iPhone 6 from like 8 years ago, so the storage is full on them. And together we got a new phone so that we'll be able to put out long form content for you guys. I just wanted to put out a compilation of our shorts because I've really only been able to put out shorts in the past couple months, and I've worked really hard on them, and they're entertaining and educational, and they get a lot of good feedback and support. So I think that the long form audience may also enjoy them, and plus I personally like to sit down and watch long form content when I eat, and shorts are only 60 seconds, so you have to keep like scrolling through them. So we just want to say thank you, and again, all the gear we use in all of our videos is listed down below, and we affiliate for them on Amazon, so any purchases help us directly and help us continue to make plant videos. So we really appreciate the support we've gotten on the last few videos. We've never gotten this much support before. And
if you guys have any questions, the comments are always available, and we respond to all of the comments.
And yeah, when we get the new phone, we're going to be putting out like Q&As and just a bunch more long form in general. So enjoy the shorts compilation for now, and probably a tripod since my hand can't stop shaking. So thank you. Why did I do that too? Part 1 of Hydroponic Root Polls, where we show and tell my indoor garden. Here we have 3 different color bell pepper plants I harvested recently. They're about 6 months old and they're getting ready to do another run of peppers. They're day neutral and live several years. Here we have a 3 to 4 month old snowball cauliflower. It's producing its first head right now, which I need to cover to keep the head from turning green. They call this blanching. They flower under shorter days, so 8 to 12 hours. This is my 2.5-year-old avocado tree. I'm really risking it to try and show you guys these roots, but they have a completely different structure. The darkness makes them look black, but they're brown, like when you see tree roots outside on the ground. However, this 3-year-old basil plant, its roots are dead. Those are black, not brown or white. That is likely how this 2-year-old strawberry that I pulled over 200 clones off of will end up like. They're dying simply because they're reaching their lifespan. Strawberries can live 5 to 6 years, but I gave this one no dormant season, so I'm only expecting to get 3 out of it. And I'm going to show you guys my short day tent where I have 16 new strawberry plants growing. Here's the roots of about a 45-day-old strawberry plant from downstairs. These are the 3 ways plants flower in nature. Number 1 is short day. In the spring and in the fall, when the days are shorter and colder, it can trigger a flowering response in short day plants. Like the apricot tree in my backyard flowers in spring. Second is long day plants. In the middle of the summer, when the days get warmer and longer, this will trigger a flowering response in long day plants. The third one is day neutral. Regardless of photo period, these plants will flower, like tomato and basil. Strawberries are a great plant to learn on, since they will either be a long day, short day, or a day neutral, depending on the cultivar you have. Research your plant and what cultivar it is to know if it's a long, short, or day neutral plant. If you grow hydroponically indoors like I do, this is very important for your results. If I want my plants to flower, I have to change the temperature and the light schedule to get them to. If you're still having some trouble getting flowers, it could be underwatering, overwatering, lack of nutrients, pruning, overcrowding, age, improper light schedule, or temperature range. This is how to transplant from hydroponic to soil. It's basically the same as every other transplant, but there's some minor differences. If I were doing a single plant like my lemon tree or avocado, I'd put the entire net pot in the ground, if you're able to lift the root ball up without it tearing. But I've overcrowded these strawberries to the point where they won't flower, so I'm going to be uprooting them and putting them outside. We're going to lose a lot of roots below the net pot. To get as many roots as possible, we flood the bucket, so when we uproot them, they pull out easier. Since we're losing a lot of roots, we're going to have to take a lot of leaves off and divide up a bunch of the crowns. It's okay to have 3 or 4 crowns on a strawberry plant, but I'm going to be taking them down to 1 mainly. Strawberries love to clone themselves. That's kind of how I got myself in this situation. I love to push the boundaries on what's possible with hydroponics, so I overcrowded them on purpose. You're going to want to make sure that your plant that you can put outside is able to put outside during that time of year, so I'm in zone 9A. I can put strawberries outside anytime between February and March. We properly spacing them apart about 1 foot to 16 inches. If I see the plant droop outside, I'll just take more leaves. Clipping large leaves, it will work too. Good luck in the garden, and thank you for watching. Let's grow some more strawberries outside. We recently transferred some hydroponic ones outside, but today we're going to do some soil ones. They came out in one giant block, so here I am just breaking them up gently. I tried using water on the other one, but it didn't really work that well. Now that I got them all separated, I like to cover them with a little bit of dirt to keep them moist so you can keep them in water. Strawberries have really long roots. There's no way I'm going to be able to dig a hole this deep. I try to spread the roots out as much as possible. Some water might be able to help, but at the end of the day, it's just too small of a hole for a lot of them. But they will be okay. We just don't want to bury the crown. That's where new leaves leaves are going to come out of. It's that pink part. Now I'm just going to go around and replace some hydroponic ones that didn't make it. Digging up the old holes is really easy though. The soil's still loose. I believe some of them didn't make it because I put them out in early February, which is okay in zone 9A, but can be a little tough on them. If some leaves droop after watering, just take some leaves off. It's having trouble hydrating. Part 2 of Hydroponic Root Pulls, where we show and tell my indoor garden. This is my 4 to 5 month old Calabrese broccoli. My wife is Italian, and if she hears me say Calabrese like that, I never hear the end of it. This is my first time growing it though, hydroponically, so I'll let you guys know how it goes. Since I'm keeping it in a short day environment, I expect it to keep flowering, and this particular cultivar is supposed to keep flowering after you clip the main head. So since it's a short day plant, I have it under 9 hours. I'll keep it as long as it continues to flower for. Some of my plants live several years. Growing indoors hydroponically, we get different results than outdoors. I probably could have gotten a bigger main head here if I upped the EC faster. However, I'm satisfied with it. It'll keep flowering. I was busy with a bunch of other stuff. If I were to do it again, I'd probably only do 1 in a bucket and string it up. You gotta make sure you pick the green flowers before they turn yellow.
Calabrese.
This is how I clone and grow my basil from seed. Generally, when taking a clone, we like to go 4 or 5 growth nodes down and then clip. Now I'm going to cut really close to these bottom leaves and then pull them off to expose the hormones in the growth node. It's going to be tough for the plant to hydrate itself, so we want to clip the leaves and make them shorter, and take off any bottom leaves that aren't going to get good light. Now at this point, you have several options. You can put it straight into water or your grow media of choice. I use Rockwool cubes. You can dip the tip of it in some growth hormone before you stick it in the ground. I don't anymore. I get better results without it. You can leave it out or put it under a humidity dome for better success. It helps keep the plant hydrated. However, both options work just fine. Basil flowers are white, and when they dry out, you get these black seeds out of them, and I do 3 to 5 seeds per cube. Basil is day neutral, so it will flower under any photo period, but I do 12-12 for my light schedule. When they grow, you can cull them down to 1. If you notice your clone drooping, it's probably having trouble hydrating, so clipping more leaves can be the solution. When you see roots come out of the bottom, they're ready for transfer into your grow media of choice. My hydroponic lemon tree is getting too tall, so I'm going to cut it and clone it and show you guys how. You can see at the top here where I took the last clone, and I'm going to take these 2 that form a Y. I like to have 4 or 5 leaves on the clipping. That's where new growth is going to come from. So I start by clipping right underneath the leaf, and then we're going to pull this leaf off the bottom just like that. If you want, at this point, you could dip that in some growth hormone like aloe vera or some different ones I sell in the market. I don't though. I used to. I feel like I get better results without it. So it's going to be pretty tough for the clone to hydrate these big leaves, so we clip them shorter. If the plant starts to droop, you can just remove some or clip them shorter. If you leave them though, it's likely they'll stress the clone out and kill it. This is about what it should look like at the end. I stuck it down into a Rockwool cube, but you could use whatever grow media you like, whether you want to have it in water or soil or something. I plan to either make mine hydroponic or put them in the backyard. Clones and seeds just work better under the humidity dome. You can see the old clone I took a couple weeks ago is doing well. They're a bit darker green. Also decided to try and leaf propagate, but I don't know if that's possible with a lemon tree. It's possible with a bunch of other plants. Part 3 of Hydroponic Root Pulls, where I show and tell my indoor garden. Here we have a 2.5-year-old aloe vera. As big as it is, it barely drinks any water. I've only watered it like once in the past year. This is my 3-year-old basil plant. It recently died, but I got a video of its roots before when it was on its way out. To be honest, I just think it reached its lifespan. They only live about 3 to 5 years. These are the roots to my 8-month-old wheat plant after I harvested them. Unfortunately, in this video, I had already cut the plant and turned it into a broomstick. This is my 6-month-old celery plant. I don't really like celery too much, and I didn't water it enough, and you can tell by the root ball's color. It'll live, I just kind of don't want it to. I found this old video of my aloe vera when it was young, and luckily I did a root pull on it. These are the roots to a very overcrowded strawberry that I ended up uprooting and putting outside. This is a hydroponic root ball that I cut off that I thought looked really cool. I experiment with growing a bunch of different things hydroponically, and in this video I grew potatoes. Potatoes turn green when they're exposed to the light, and I didn't know that, so I had to cover them with tinfoil. I got lucky, none of the potatoes grew below the net pot. We're just not going to talk about how ugly this plant got and started to dangle potatoes in the air, because they were still gas. You can't eat the green ones or the ones in the air, but you'll see that at the end. This one looked like a duck. Some of them had rotted in there. I'll spare you guys all the dirty digging. This took about 5 months. I don't think I'd do it again. I'd rather just grow them outside. In the middle we have the ones I can eat. On the right were the ones dangling in the air, and on the left are the ones that turned green, which you shouldn't really eat. My wife cooked them for me at about 400 degrees for about 35 minutes since they're kind of small, and rolled them in some rosemary and herbs and spices. These were some of the best tasting potatoes though. They literally tasted like they were already buttered. I would never have another potato in my life if I had the choice. I gave this plant a 12-12 light schedule its whole life and planted the potatoes directly into the clay. This is how to know what pH and EC to give your hydroponic plants. The most optimal pH for hydroponic plants plants is 5.5 to 6. There are some exceptions like blueberry that like 4 to 5. You're going to want some pH up or down and a pH tester. I use HydroGuard and a Veg Bloom bundle. There's plenty of other nutrient bundles out there. This is just the one I use. I can't go into detail on all the products, but I'll link down below. We use an EC tester to measure the nutrients. Seedlings like 0.5 to 0.8 EC. As they get larger, we raise them up to 1.2 to 1.5 EC. When they're fully mature, ready to bloom or blooming, we bring them up to 1.8 to 2.1 EC. Some plants will not flower unless the EC is high enough, like pumpkin. Now we just need to maintain this EC the rest of the plant's life. When the water goes down in the bucket and you retest it, you'll notice the EC went up. This is because plants drink more than they eat. So we add some fresh water and retest. Nutrient water will make it go up, fresh water will make it go down. Don't let the water go too low in the bucket. Make sure the roots are always touching some water. This is how to know what light schedule to give your hydroponic plants for the best result. In a previous video, I described the 3 ways plants flower in nature: long day, short day, or day neutral. You're going to want to know when your plant is grown in nature and if it's a long season or a short season plant. Long season crops typically like longer days and can tolerate hotter temperatures, where shorter season crops like shorter days and can tolerate colder temperatures. Mimicking what happens in nature will make it flower, where if you do not mimic what happens in nature, you can keep a plant in a state of vigorousness where it will never flower. Short day plants will never flower under longer days. For example, lettuce is a short day plant. If you give it longer than 12 hours, it will never flower. I had one for over a year that I continuously harvested off of. The plants don't know what time of year it is with indoor hydroponics, so you can keep them in a state where they believe it's always the same time of year. Here you can see a short day strawberry that I put under a long day and it never flowered and it cloned itself over 200 times. If you have a day neutral plant that you notice isn't flowering, pruning will definitely help. Thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. If you like this, be sure to let us know and we'll put out more of them. In the meantime, have a great day.
Yes.